In this video, we're going to take a look at a red ink by Montblanc Burgundy. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also down in the description is a link to the red ink playlist, so if you wanted to see more, you could find that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. It does shade very well in the stub, in the extra fine, and in the medium. Now the extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub, while the medium's lighter than the extra fine. Extra fine took 10 seconds to dry, and the medium took 17. The scrubby for both do give good color variation. It is there in the writing, and the smear test you could probably recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Viscosity Van Gogh with a medium nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have no bleeding, but we do have a little bit of ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine and the medium are the same tone, a little bit lighter than the stub. The extra fine is 10 seconds to dry, while the medium was 19. The scrubby for both don't really give us much for color variation, but it's not really there in the writing. And the smear test, you probably could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put into water for 10 to 15 seconds. Now across the bottom, you see this very grayish tannish tone that's forming a line. And I say grayish tannish because I can't really decide if which it is. Now just above that you actually see a little bit of blue that's moving up, and then a very bright red. Now the one on the right that's let dry for 10 minutes, it lets us know that that grayish tan is probably more of a gray. But just above that line you do see that blue still there, but right at the line. And then that red very dark and right above it. But it gives us the idea that that grayish and the blue might be a little bit of a holdout color. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. We get no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do get a little bit of shading that's going on in the extra fine, and we do have a couple lighter spots that show themselves in the medium. The extra fine and the medium, the extra fine's a lot lighter than the stub, while the medium is a tad bit darker than the stub. The extra fine took 8 seconds to dry, and the medium took 13. Scrubby for both do show some color variation, and we do get it in the writing. And the smear test, you could probably recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it performs fairly well, and I would feel confident using it in a note-taking situation if I needed to go back and highlight. Now, water's moving most of that red out of the way, but leaving that kind of grayish tone that was there. It did only take water to get it out of my pen though, which you largely expect from a Montblanc ink. Pen flush is breaking it down a bit more than the water did, and the 1/3 bleach solution destroys this ink. The next writing sample is done on TWSBI notebook paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. We get no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do get some tone variation in the medium and in the extra fine. They're both a bit lighter than the stub. Even has some tone variation in the stub when you look at burgundy. The extra fine took 6 seconds to dry, while the medium took 9. Scrubby of the medium shows a lot more color variation than the extra fine did, and it showed in the writing. The smear test, you could probably recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity is 2.5, and the realm of normal is 2.1 to 2.9. Montblanc's Burgundy has a viscosity of 3.02, so this is a dry ink. If you're interested in how the viscosity tests are done and the bell curves made and all that, then down in the description is a link to that video. But now the next writing sample is done on Leuchtturm 1917 paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. We get no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, but the extra fine is noticeably lighter than the stub, and the medium is a little bit darker than the stub. Extra fine took 7 seconds to dry, while the medium took 9. The scrubby for both do show some color variation. I really don't see it in the writing. And the smear test, I do not think you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time is 17 seconds, and the realm of normal is 13 to 21 seconds. Montblanc's Burgundy has an average dry time of 13 seconds, living on the edge of normal. The last writing sample is done on 20-pound copy paper, a crowd favorite. Now we have no bleeding, but man does it get deep into the page. You can't use the back of the paper, but it does not corrupt the page underneath. We get feathering in both the medium and the extra fine. We get some spread. Not a ton of spread, actually, just a little bit. This medium doesn't turn all the way into a broad, and the extra fine that just about makes it to a fine. You have no halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine took 1 second to dry. The scrubby showed no color variation. You didn't get any. And the smear test, you can't smear it, so you don't have to worry about it. Instead of finding inks that look like Montblanc's Burgundy, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went with a blue ink from Graf von Faber Castell's, a great blue called Cobalt Blue. If you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those playlists. But come on, Cobalt Blue's an awesome color. So what do I think of Montblanc's Burgundy? This is an ink people don't talk about very much. I can see why. There's nothing wrong with it. There's just nothing stand out about it. It's very well behaved. It's just dull as a tone. That's all I have. So what nib and pen are going to give the best writing experience with this ink? A medium flow medium or fine pen both put down a decent tone with a lot of very nice shading. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video we're going to take a look at Diamine's Lilac Satin.